makeup that was able to sense, hey, this is big, you know. I don't think that we would have said it was an honor, but I know damn well we were thinking it was. Nobody was looking to be the first guy over the top of the trenches, you know, unless it was some nut. But we had a sense of honor at being the battalion that would take St. Mary Glees. There was no question about that.
Tuesday, June 6th, 1944. D-Day. Aircraft carrying British and American paratroopers crossed the French coast.
There was ag explosions, and some of us thought we could see traces, and I thought I saw a tracer hit the plane. We had the order to stand up and hook up, and the plane's shaking like hell. So Leonard says to me, Jesus Christ, Tucker, we don't get paid enough for this job. I think that those were immortal words.
One of the first people to see them land is Henri Renault, then a 10-year-old schoolboy. He still lives in the village of St. Mary Glees.
During the night, we have seen paratroopers landing on the square, but we don't know if it was American or English paratroopers.
As scores of American paratroopers continue to land in and around St. Mary Glees, Henri decides to have a closer look, but nothing can prepare him for what he finds.
He was hanging, and his foot was at maybe 1 meter from the soil, and I touched his foot, and I remember that the body was swinging at the end of the parachute, and one American soldier was here, and he said to me, don't do that, get out.
As it grows light, the news comes through that the Germans appear to have deserted their posts. By 5 a.m., the Americans are in control of the town. But Bill Tucker's job isn't over yet. The German infantry are planning a counterattack.
At the other side of town, we gather in a small, closed-in apple orchard. We stay there for some time before getting orders. It gets pretty hot, and I realize how tired I am. I don't feel like doing much talking. Just before we move out, someone starts firing at us. It certainly is lucky that none of us is killed.
Little do the Germans know that the full contingent of the invasion troops lie waiting in the Channel, just off the French coast. As dawn breaks on the morning of D-Day, the Allied fleet, which the night before set sail from England, approaches France. Along with more than 150,000 other young men, British Commando Cliff Morris faces the longest day of his life.
6th of June, 1944. Time is now approximately 5:30 in the morning, and the Sergeant Major has come round rousing us. Under his eagle eye, every man on our boat washes and shaves, then cleans his boots. He says that if it is the last thing we do, we will go in spick and span.
We had the feeling that if we were smarter than they and anybody else, nothing could stop us. It was all going to be part of the great plan. We would be smart, we'd be on the ball, and we'd make it.
Now, all the big guns open up with a huge barrage to soften up the German emplacements and beach defenses. The noise of the bombardment can be heard 6 miles inland in Caen. This is when the German occupiers exact their own terrible vengeance.
It was said that the nearly 100 prisoners, members of the resistance that the Germans still held in jail, were already singing the Marseillaise. But the Gestapo, that was ruthless, decided they couldn't keep those people. The Germans shot 87 of them in the early hours of D-Day. They were probably among the very first victims of that day. To the memory of the prisoners shot by the Germans here on the 6th of June 1944, the oppressor, by killing them, thought he had made them die forever. In fact, he immortalized them.
Time is now approximately 0800 hours, and the stand-by order is given. Though, on looking over the side, there seems to be a hell of a lot of water between us and the beach. Anyway, the next move is by the Navy. At 8:15 we hear it. Ramps down, and they begin to slide into the water. We move at the same time, and we are on the ramp before it has settled into the water, and we are sliding and running down it. We are only poised in mid-air for a split second, but it really is the feeling of a duck being held up for a target, and all the guns in creation being fired at you.
Sword Beach, Normandy, 8:15 a.m.
We wade as hard as we can. The water now chest high and very hard going with all this kit on. The water having filled our rucksacks and in our blouses. And we curse. Curse Jerry and anyone else we can lay a tongue to. Soon we begin to reach shallower water, but we feel more of a target and wish we were back in deeper waters again.
Juno Beach, Normandy, 8:30 a.m. For 50 miles along the Cherbourg Peninsula, Allied assault troops pour ashore. Among them, B Company of the Regina Rifles. Glenn Dickey is one of the first. He knows this is no time to be afraid, just to hit the beach and run like hell. Somehow he makes it to safety. Others are not so lucky. Despite the ferocity of their response, the Germans have been caught completely off guard. Rommel, in charge of the Channel defenses, is hundreds of miles away, at home in Germany. Convinced the landings are weeks away, he has taken a few days off. The telephone had first rung at 6:30 a.m., his chief of staff reporting early sightings of the Allied fleet. A second phone call confirmed the worst. Rommel is soon in his car en route to France. This has been the greatest misjudgment of his career. Every hour of his desperate rush to Normandy allows yet more invasion troops ashore. The gods are smiling on the Allies. Tuesday, June 6, 1944, D-Day. At 12 noon on D-Day, Winston Churchill goes to the Houses of Parliament to make the announcement that everyone has been waiting for.
During the night and in the early hours of this morning, the first of a series of landings in force upon the European continent has taken place. In this case, the liberating assault is upon the coast of France. This vast operation is undoubtedly the most complicated and difficult that has ever taken place.
So far, each assault has reached its immediate objective, with only one exception. The Americans landing at Omaha Beach have met severe resistance. The planners want to have 34,000 men safely ashore here by nightfall, but the soldiers are pinned down at the cliff face, each wave of men sitting ducks for German machine guns. Only the liberation of targets immediately inland will clear the way for the American assault. But at Sainte-Mère-Église, just a few miles from the beaches, a fierce German counterattack is underway. American paratrooper Bill Tucker has been on the move for 8 hours.
Never in all of our maneuvers of the past do we chase around a circle so much. It's a horrible experience, tearing through hedgerows and thickets. We're crawling and it's hot as hell. The firing begins to get heavier up to our right. We're pinned down in a ditch and can't even lift our heads up. Finally, there's no choice but to find some place to get across the road. We make a dash and into another little sunken orchard.
So we got out of there, and then we were told to head back through the hedgerows. But to come out on this road, we had to cross the south side of the back of the town through all kinds of yards, hedgerows. Geez, it was exhausting.
To the eastern end of the Allied bridgehead, the men of No. 6 Commando also have an inland target to secure. Their objective? The bridge at Bénouville over the River Orne, codenamed Pegasus. Here, Cliff Morris finds that British paratroopers have got there first. Their fight has been every bit as fierce as on the beaches.
It is a sight never to be forgotten. Again, everywhere is confusion. The area is still under heavy fire, so all movement is made either at the double or by crawling. Both Jerry and airborne dead and wounded lie sprawled in the road and in trenches. The whole area is pitted with shell and mortar holes, and the air reeks of smoke and cordite. Also littering the area are the crashed gliders. Some have landed almost intact, but others have crashed into the trees, the bridge itself, and many other obstacles.
By 1 p.m., No. 6 Commando, now reinforcing the British 6th Airborne, has achieved its first objective. Bénouville has fallen to the Allies. Lance Corporal Cliff Morris has survived. The Allied assault continues to catch the Germans off guard. Field Marshal von Rundstedt, in overall charge of the Western Command, hesitates to react. Against Rommel's advice, he has held back 2 panzer divisions near Paris and only agrees to release them at 2:30 p.m. It is much too late. In London, a special service is to be held at St. Paul's Cathedral. At Westminster Abbey, people pray at the tomb of the unknown soldier. The mood on both sides of the Atlantic is somber and serious. People stand in line at newsstands. Theaters and bars are half empty.
Makeup that was able to sense, hey, this is big, you know. I don't think that we would have said it was an honor, but I know damn well we were thinking it was. Nobody was looking to be the first guy over the top of the trenches, you know, unless it was some nut. But we had a sense of honor.
Aircraft carrying British and American paratroopers crossed the French coast.
There was ag explosions, and some of us thought we could see traces, and I thought I saw a tracer hit the plane. We had the order to stand up and hook up, and the plane's shaking like hell. So Leonard says to me, Jesus Christ, Tucker, we don't get paid enough for this job. I think that those were immortal words.
One of the first people to see them land is Henri Renault, then a 10-year-old schoolboy. He still lives in the village of Saint-Mère-Église.
During the night, we have seen paratroopers landing on the square, but we don't know if it was American or English paratroopers.
As scores of American paratroopers continue to land in and around Saint-Mère-Église, Henri decides to have a closer look, but nothing can prepare him for what he finds.
He was hanging, and his foot was at maybe 1 meter from the soil, and I touched his foot, and I
being the battalion that would take Saint-Mère-Église. There's no question about that.
Tuesday, June 6, 1944. D-Day. $800 air